welcome to Inside Number 23, my channel which is all about knitting and sewing and generally living the craftiest life possible. My name is Katie and you can find me on all of the various kind of social media bits and pieces as Miss Lavelli. We also have a Ravelry group for the podcast which you can find if you head over to Ravelry, go to the groups tab and search Inside Number 23. I am coming to you as always from Hertfordshire, which is just north of London in the UK, where I live with my husband Emrys and our beautiful snuggly little pug puppy Rolly, and it's a little bit later in the day than I usually do a podcast, so apologies if the light goes a bit bizarre at any point during this episode. I just wanted to get this episode up because I hate missing a week of the podcast. I always pre-record my episodes by about a day, but this one I'm actually recording 4 days in advance because Emrys and I this weekend, in fact just tomorrow, are heading to New York. Yay! So we've been waiting for this trip for a very long time. We've had this booked for a considerable amount of time and yeah, we're actually heading off to New York tomorrow. Because that's going to kind of interfere with my podcasting schedule, although interfere is a little bit extreme because we're going on holiday. It's hardly an inconvenience, is it? Basically, I wanted to pre-record a little episode that will be able to go live on Monday for you guys, so that I'm not missing too many weeks of the podcast. I will not be uploading an episode next week because I'll still be on my holiday and having a lovely time, but I wanted you to have something rather than taking 2 weeks off, so hopefully that makes sense. Basically this week is going to be a little shorter than usual because not a huge amount of time has passed between my recording of my last episode and this episode, but I do have quite a few lovely bits and pieces to share with you, so I am super excited. So let's get on with it, shall we? I'm going to start off with a couple of little bits of administrative stuff, as always. I first of all want to start off by talking about my CALs, because yes, I'm currently hosting 2 CALs over at my Ravelry group. The first CAL is the Harry Potter CAL, and this is going to be a year-long CAL which is running throughout 2017. The whole idea is that you knit a project each month that is Harry Potter themed, and you can enter into the prize draw which will be drawn at the end of every month. So there will be a prize drawing for January coming up at the end of this month. I have already opened a finished object thread in the Ravelry group, and some of you busy bees have already completed projects and have uploaded them, so congratulations to anyone who's already done that. That is completely incredible. I am nowhere near finished with my first project for 2017 for the Harry Potter CAL, so I'm incredibly impressed. But do head over to the Ravelry group and check out both our Harry Potter chatter thread and our finished object thread if you want to get inspired. Basically the only restrictions for the CAL are it has to be in some way Harry Potter themed. So it can be Harry Potter yarn, a Harry Potter project, it can remind you of Harry Potter, you can name it after something to do with Harry Potter, as long as you can link it to Harry Potter in some way. It counts, and it has to be over 50 grams of yarn that is used in the project. So I know some people are spinning, some people are weaving, some people are knitting, crocheting. It's all amazing. The only thing I would say, this is specifically a fibre arts make along, knit along, whatever. So unfortunately sewing is not going to be permitted for this particular CAL. Perhaps we'll do a Harry Potter sewing make along, kind of sew along at a later date, but for now just yarny goodness. I did want to share with you the prize that will be on offer for the end of January. I am really excited. I've had this prize kind of waiting in the wings for a little while, and it was provided by one of my favourite yarn dyers, which is Tracy of Nora George Yarn. Now you may recall that Tracy actually sent me a gift of some beautiful yarn, the Toffee Apple sock set, which I absolutely adored. It's been turned into a pair of Mercury socks, pretty much my favourite pair of socks of last year, I would think. But along with that, she did send an additional gift for the podcast, And look at this. This is just an incredible prize. There is so much good stuff going on in here. First and foremost, you do have a skein of Tracy's yarn in here. It is a sock set, so you have the main skein of yarn plus a little mini skein for contrasting toes, cuffs and heels if you would so like, or of course you can use it for a different project, maybe pop it into a Cozy Memories blanket or one of these striped crochet blankets, which I am not going to start right now, but I so want to. But the colour is called Let's Go Foraging, and honestly it is really, really beautiful. I am very, very jealous of whoever will be receiving this, because as you can see, this purple and this green, it's very much the kind of colours that I gravitate towards just looking at my jumper today. But additionally in there we have some sweets, we have a little stitch marker, we have a gauge ruler, there's also a bag in here, a Nora George dyed bag, and it's just a really, really beautiful prize. Very, very special. And as Tracy is obviously a big Harry Potter fan herself, she does the most incredible Harry Potter themed yarns. You should definitely check them out if you haven't already. I just thought that this was a particularly appropriate prize for January of the Harry Potter Cal. So yes, enter your finished objects in the finished object thread. I will be pulling a prize winner from that thread at the end of January, and you could win this incredible gift set, I would say, from Tracy of Nora George. And yes, I will be sending it to you, even though I want to keep it for myself. The other knit along that I'm currently hosting is the Andy Sat Along, and I am so excited about this knit along. Again, we have a chatter thread which is currently open in the Ravelry group. This Cal is running, started on January 1st and is running until the end of March. So you have 3 months to create one of Andy's beautiful garments. This is just for her garments, not for her accessories, but some of you guys have already made serious dents in your projects. The one thing that I love about Andy's patterns in general is that they are heavier weight yarns. So the majority of them, I believe, are worsted weight, which means that they knit up super, super quickly, and they are just beautiful anyway. So head over to Ravelry if you want to get involved. Genuinely, if you take a look at that chatter thread, you're going to get so inspired. I am itching to start my own project, but I wanted to hang fire because I'm hoping to pick up, fingers crossed, some yarn for an Andy Satterland pattern whilst I am in New York, possibly at Vogue Knitting Live, because that would just be a really, really lovely thing, I think, to have as a memory. There are 2 patterns, however, that I think are the main contenders when it comes to which of her patterns that I want to knit up. Obviously, I've already knitted up the Chuck sweater, which is beautiful. I'd very happily make another one of those. And I currently have a blaster cardigan in progress. That's my pumpkin spice cardigan that I still haven't finished, but hopefully someday soon because it's beautiful. But the 2 patterns that I'm really, really keen on knitting up are both long sleeved cardigans. And as yet, I've only knit kind of cropped sleeved versions of Andy's patterns, and I'm just really into long sleeved snuggly cardigans at the moment. So the 2 different patterns that I'm totally in love with are firstly Agatha. This is one of Andy's slightly older patterns. It has been out for quite some time, but I just love it. I love the lacy patterns on both the front and the back. And again, it's got a lovely long sleeve on it, which just looks super, super comfy. Plus, I am a sucker for really nice photos on Ravelry, and the way that this has been styled in the pictures that Andy has on the pattern page are just stunning, and I just need this cardigan in my life. The other cardigan was one that Andy actually released over Christmas time. It's one of her newest designs and it's called Wainthropp. And again, long sleeved with kind of lacy details, but rather than being vertical lace, it's actually horizontal stripes of lace through the body of the cardigan with a little bit of detailing around the wrist. And I think, again, this is just beautiful, and I love it in the bright red yarn that has been used in this pattern. So I'm kind of wavering between the 2, not entirely sure which one of these I would want to do at this point, but I'm hoping some yarn is going to talk to me when I'm in New York and basically show me the way as to which one of these I'll be knitting up. But basically, those are my plans for the anti-Satalon. Please do get involved and take part, and like I said, head over to the Ravelry group for a little bit of inspiration. I have one more little bit of administrative goodness before we get on to some yarn talk and some knitting talk and some stash enhancement talk. I have been a little bit naughty in some January sales and bits and pieces, but you may remember from a couple of episodes ago that in my reviewing the situation segment, I reviewed the most recent edition of Stranded magazine, the cold weather edition. And Erin, who sent me the copy of this magazine, kindly got in touch again and said that we can have a copy of this to give away. So hurrah, we have a giveaway. I'm so excited. If you didn't see the review, I do recommend that you check it out. I will pop a link to the episode where I reviewed it down below. But I absolutely adore this magazine, so you should really, really get involved in terms of getting a copy for yourself. I'm going to be giving one copy of the magazine away. I will be opening a giveaway thread in Ravelry, and all you have to do to enter is subscribe to the channel, head over to Ravelry and join my Ravelry group and leave a comment in that giveaway thread. The question that I'm going to get you to answer is which of the patterns included in the Stranded magazine, the cold weather edition, is your favourite. So pick one of them and tell me why it is your favourite pattern. Super, super simple. And I will be drawing a winner for this competition towards the end of January, basically when I get back from New York and I've got all of my bits in order and I get another episode out. That's when I will be drawing a winner. So do head over there and enter, and you could stand the chance of winning this gorgeous magazine, which I absolutely adore. Additionally, lovely Erin is particularly generous and has given us a discount code for the cold weather edition of Stranded of 15%. So even if you don't win the giveaway, you could still grab a copy of this magazine for 15% off. You just have to use this code at checkout, and the code is INSIDE with a capital I, STRANDED with a capital S, 15, and I'll put that down below in the notes and I'll put it on the screen somewhere, but it's INSIDE STRANDED 15, and you can get 15% off that magazine. And to be honest, it is so worth it. It's such a beautiful magazine. I adore Stranded. I love the whole team, and it's actually got an Andy Satterland pattern in it because she is one of the Stranded team, so you know, you could use that for the Andy Satterland. Just saying. Thank you so, so much to the entire team at Stranded for sending me the magazine to review originally, but also being generous enough to give us that coupon code and the giveaway prize as well. It's incredibly generous of you, and I'm just sending you heaps of love because you're awesome. Okay then, so let's move on to a little bit of crafty knitting-y talk. I don't have a what am I wearing segment today because basically all my hand knits are packed in a suitcase ready to take to New York. Honestly, I've heard that it's going to be super cold. I've looked up the temperatures and down to about -7 degrees centigrade, so I'm going to need all of the super warm hand knits that I can get my hands on. So at the moment I am just wearing a shop bought jumper. It does have a cute cat on it though. Very, very fun. This was actually a gift from Emrys, and if you're interested, it came from H&M, I believe, so you can always get your hands on your own little cat wearing glasses jumper, and I do love burgundy. It's just such a lovely colour. But anyway, moving on, I think we should get started with what's on my needles. And I do have a couple of bits and pieces to share with you in terms of what's on my needles this week. First up for what's on my needles, I have, very excitingly, a finished object to share with you. I know, it's pretty overwhelming that in the last couple of episodes I've actually had finished objects because this never usually happens, but I have been pretty monogamous with this pattern, and for reasons that I will soon explain to you. If you remember last episode, I shared with you my completed August mittens that I made with Knit by Numbers by John Arbon in their shade 74. And I absolutely love these mittens. I have been wearing them pretty much every day since I finished them. But when I initially planned knitting these mittens, I wanted to make a matching set. So mittens and a hat to coordinate with them. And I talked in the last episode that I was going to be casting on this hat in the exact same yarn. So again, Knit by Numbers in shade 74. But in the DK weight as opposed to the 4-ply weight. The August mittens don't come with a matching hat, but I found a pattern that just worked perfectly with them. This pattern is called the Iced Hat, and forgive me, but I'm not going to even try to butcher the designer's name at this point. I'll put it down below for you. But this was actually gifted to me for my birthday by lovely Pam. Hi Pam. And I just had to knit this up. I started this after I finished filming the last episode, and I finished it this morning, so it is all ready to be taken with me to New York. The issue is I can't really show it to you on my head because I started blocking it this morning and it is still slightly damp. I was blocking it on a plate, and the only thing about blocking on a plate, it's great, but it does tend to prevent the item from drying very, very quickly. But basically, here it is. So I'm keeping it as flat as I can. Look at these cables. Oh, it is still a little damp. So like I said, apologies for the slightly weird laying out of this on my hand. But this is the top, and oh my goodness, I am completely obsessed with this central cable detail. It looks kind of like a little star, and it is beautiful. I'm just going to pop it over so I can kind of show you the underside. I have woven in the ends, but I haven't cut them off yet because I like to wait to do that until after something is finished blocking. This is the underside. So you can kind of see how the rib detail goes into all of these beautiful cables. And oh my goodness, I loved every second of this project. It is going to be quite a cute little beret style, as you can see, and I'm going to be taking this to New York and wearing it everywhere. It's going to be so warm. This yarn, Knit by Numbers by John Arbon, is 100% merino, so it is very, very soft, but my goodness, it's warm. The mittens keep me so warm, and I know that this is going to keep my head toasty, toasty warm. So yes, I am super, super excited to have finished this, particularly in time to take it to New York. I think I'm going to have to try and get it drying a little bit quicker, perhaps putting it near a radiator or something like that. I just need to find a way to keep it flat because I don't want it to kind of block out all unnecessary. But yes, I will be wearing this around New York, so if you see me, tell me if you like my hat. If I'm wearing it, you don't have to do that. That's ridiculous. But I love it. I'm really, really, really happy with how it turned out. And I'm a little bit obsessed with hat knitting. I already have a couple of other hats in the works that I'm planning on casting on soon. Fingers crossed. And I think I might even try and run up a couple of extra hats just to keep for Christmas presents. And I know that's ridiculous because it's January and who's thinking about Christmas presents in January? But I knit nothing for Christmas this year other than things for myself. And I think it might just be a good idea to kind of squirrel away a couple of projects as I go through the year and maybe keep them for Christmas gifts for people. But yeah, this one is for me and I love it, and oh, I can't wait to wear it with my mittens. It's just gonna be amazing. I have one project which is a whip, a work in progress, that I want to quickly share with you this week. Not a huge amount of progress has been made on this, I'm not going to lie. This is the project that I want to be ready to take with me on the plane tomorrow, and I have no doubt that this evening I will have this ready. Last week I showed you that I'd started this pair of Hermione's Everyday Socks. This yarn is Baerenwolle in the Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds colourway, and I love it. I've just done a couple of repeats of the textured pattern for the Hermione's Everyday Sock in the body, but what I have done since I last spoke to you is I have cast on the second one, and as yet it's a very little moustache. But I talked about this last week about how enamoured I am of this yarn, and it hasn't changed. The second that I pick this up and start working with it, I'm just obsessed with it. I definitely need more Baerenwolle yarn in my stash. It needs to come and live with me because this is just gorgeous and the colourway is beautiful. I just love how it's speckling up with so many different colours, all of these little pops of neon, but with this really quite stark base. It just makes me so happy. I genuinely am completely in love with these, and I know that I'm going to have so much fun knitting them in New York. I've decided that I'm going to give these socks a special name. I used to give names to all of my projects, kind of silly names, and I've tended to not do that so much with a lot of my more recent projects, but these socks are going to be called my Expecto Patronum socks, just because the colours kind of remind me of spells and all of that type of stuff, and it just seems very appropriate. But yes, these are going to be my first pair of socks for the Harry Potter Cal, and yeah, I can't wait to get these going. These will be 2 at a time, which is why I've started one and I'm now starting the other. I'm going to join them together and then knit them 2 at a time because I'm finding that method really, really appealing at the moment. That's everything that I've currently got on my needles in terms of like works in progress and finished objects. But I did quickly want to talk about one more project that I've got all set up ready to go to take with me to New York, but I haven't actually started it yet. I wanted to have another pair of socks on the go to take to New York with me. I did consider taking one of my sweater projects, but I knew that I would just not be in the right frame of mind to get a sweater out during this vacation. So I decided to get another pair of socks ready. And in contrast to the Hermione's Everyday sock, I wanted to have something just plain and vanilla to go alongside that. And I caked up one of the yarns that I showed off in my last podcast, which was sent to me by lovely Cindy of Mon Sheep Shop. And I have my 2 little cakes. This is Pumpkin Spice Latte. These are actual equal skeins. They just look different because this one is considerably looser than this. But it's a self-striping colourway that Cindy very generously sent to me. And these are going to be a lovely pair of vanilla socks. She also sent me this lovely natural yarn to go with it. This is literally just stellina on a natural base, and that will be my contrasting toes, cuffs and heels. And I'm so excited. By the way, I was an absolute dingbat last episode because I said that Cindy's yarns didn't have names on them, and I messaged her about it and I was like, do they have names, or are they just kind of unique colourways? And she said, yes, they do have names. The names are on the insides of the labels, because I hadn't bothered to look on the inside. So they did all have all of the details on the insides of the labels. So, you know, guys, if you can't find the name, check the inside of the label. Don't do what I did. But this is called Pumpkin Spice Latte. The other colourways that I had are called, I believe it's pronounced Taube, which is the brown colourway, and then the other self-striping was called Quidditch. But if you want to see the details of them specifically, I have posted a picture on Instagram with the names, with the specific yarns, so do check that out in case you're interested. And yeah, they did have names, you guys. It's just me being completely silly, but I'm really excited to cast these on. These again are going to be for my Harry Potter Cal. I'm going to be calling these my Pumpkin Pasty Socks, very much Harry Potter inspired, and I'm just so happy. I'm so happy to get these casted on. I will probably wait until I'm actually in New York to get that done, but everything is in here and ready to go. I have my higher sharp needle in here because this can go in my main suitcase as opposed to my hand luggage. And again, I like to do 2 at a time on 100cm length circular needles on 2.25, and I've got all of my yarn in there all caked up and ready to go, and plus it has pugs on it to remind me of my lovely Poochie while we're away from him when we're on holiday. Oh, that makes me sad. But yes, I'm very excited to get these cast on. So enough about what's on my needles. Let's do a little bit of stash enhancement, shall we? Because as I hinted at the beginning of this episode, I have treated myself to some lovely things. Some of them were sale purchases. I don't do a huge amount of sale shopping because I can find it incredibly stressful. But I do tend to hit a couple of particular bits and pieces. I have ordered some Knit Picks yarn in their sale, but that hasn't arrived yet. Knit Picks does tend to take a while to get to the UK, so that's absolutely fine. But I did purchase some fabric at the John Lewis sale. Now, if you don't know what John Lewis is, it is this massive department store in the UK. And they do tend to, depending on which particular branch of this shop you go to, have haberdasheries. They tend to have yarn and fabric and varying degrees of quality depending on which John Lewis you go to. But I'm pretty lucky that the John Lewis local to us, where we live, actually has a pretty big fabric selection. And considering that sewing has become much more fashionable within the last couple of years because of programs on the TV like the Great British Sewing Bee, it has become more and more stocked with some really, really lovely fabrics. So I do like to go there during their sale because a lot of the fabrics are 50% off, and I managed to purchase 3 different pieces of fabric to add to my stash, and I know exactly what I'm going to do with all 3 of them, so I'm really, really excited. But without further ado, let me show them to you. So the first fabric was the fabric that I was specifically looking for when I went into the shop, and it is a brushed cotton fabric, and it is this incredible tartan. Now, this is actually the wrong side of the fabric, which comes up a lot more vibrant than the brushed cotton side. So I'm just going to see if I can find, it's all folded up, a little bit of the actual colour. Ah, here we go. So I don't know if you can see, but this is more true to colour. This is really awkward. This is more true to colour. This is the brushed side of the cotton. So it has this lovely flannel, soft feel to it, which is gorgeous. And I just love it. This was 50% off in the fabric sale at John Lewis, and I purchased it because I have wanted to make for the longest time one of the Tilly and the Buttons Rosa dresses. And Rosa is a shirt. It can be a shirt or a shirt dress, and I just really, really wanted one, but in tartan specifically. I want a tartan shirt dress, and I was hoping that I would have been able to get this done before Vogue Knitting Live, so it would have been one of the things that I took with me, but that didn't happen. And as my word of the year is breathe and just chill out a little bit. I'm not going to get stressed about the fact that this wasn't finished in time for Vogue Knitting Live, because it means that I have something really lovely to look forward to when I get back. So this will definitely be coming a Rosa shirt dress really, really soon, and I can't wait. I just love tartan. Plus it's going to give me the opportunity to try out all of my pattern matching skills, which haven't been used for quite some time, but I do love doing a bit of pattern matching. It just really appeals to my slightly obsessive nature. So whilst I was looking for that tartan, that was the only thing that I was thinking that I would purchase from John Lewis. However, I did get distracted by a couple of other lovely bits that were also in the 50% off section of the yarn. Now, the first thing that caught my eye was underneath quite a lot of kind of novelty print fleeces. And novelty print fleece is not something that usually appeals to me. It has its place, but it's not something that I would kind of gravitate towards, so I almost missed this. But tucked underneath that was this needle cord fabric, and I don't know if you can see, but it is covered in little stars, and I'm pretty sure that this was originally designed for children's clothes, but I don't care, because this is going to be a Cleo pinafore dress for me. I've been looking out for the perfect fabric to make a Cleo pinafore dress for the longest time. Again, it is a pattern by Tilly and the Buttons, and from the second that it came out, I just thought it was stunning, and this will just be beautiful. It's really kitschy and silly without being too over the top. I think it's just completely my style, and from a distance it literally just kind of looks like a speckled fabric, and then when you get up close you get that surprise of all of these sprinklings of stars, and I just think it's going to be a really, really nice part of my wardrobe. It's this lovely grey tone which goes with so many colours that I have in my wardrobe, but it's just different and fun, and it made me really happy. Plus it was 50% off, so I wasn't going to turn it away, so I got I believe 1.5 meters of this fabric, and with the tartan fabric I got 3 meters of it. The last piece of fabric that I purchased is, again, a bit silly. You can probably tell from the way that I look at fabrics that I really just am a sucker for a bit of a novelty print, and in general the majority of novelty prints that are available in John Lewis are on quilting cotton. And I love quilting cotton, but it wasn't something that I was keeping my eye out for. I definitely wasn't tempted to buy any of it. However, whilst browsing through some of the other sale items, a very special piece of fabric decided that it needed to come and live with me. And that is this. Look at these cats. Oh my goodness. Now I am very much a dog person. We have Rolly the pug. He is my precious baby. But I'm a cat person too, hence the cat jumper, the cat fabric. I could not turn this away. It was just too funny. I absolutely love this. And this is actually, I would say it's more of a broadcloth than a cotton. It's quite heavyweight and it's originally made in Japan. So it's a cotton blend, but it's a lot heavier than a quilting cotton. So it's much more hard wearing feeling. And I just think it's gonna be amazing. I wonder if you can guess what pattern I'm going to be using with this fabric. If you guessed the Robe Bluet dress by Deer and Doe, you are correct. This is going to be my third version of the Robe Bluet dress that I have made previously. It just screamed Robe Bluet to me when I saw it. I needed it. I'm going to do a contrasting collar, possibly in white, I think. And I think that I'm going to keep the pointed collar as opposed to rounding it off to a Peter Pan collar as I've done previously. And part of me is very tempted to embroider two little cat faces on that collar, but we'll see. I'm also wanting to do a bit of a pattern hack and do a short straight sleeve as opposed to the puff sleeves that are on the previous two versions of this, the ones that come with the pattern, because I feel that a straight sleeve with no puff would just look a little bit better with this busy fabric. I'll see how I get on. I did manage to get a fair amount of this. I believe I ended up getting 2.5 meters of this fabric, which is more than enough to end up making one of those dresses. But it's going to be really fun. It's going to be incredibly kitschy and it's just going to be right up my street. So I'm very excited to work on that. So as you can see, you guys, in terms of so what, hopefully there's going to be a lot of stuff for me to share in the near future. Obviously not right away because I am going to be recovering from New York when you next see me, but I am very excited to get back onto my sewing machine and continue my quest for a handmade wardrobe. It's been too long since I've really made some fun functional items to go into my wardrobe, so just watch this space. I have 2 more stash enhancements to share with you this week, and this time it is yarn. And to be perfectly honest, you guys, this is pretty much your fault because I was tagged about 3 times on Instagram for this particular dyer and this particular yarn. Now, you'll know if you've been watching the podcast for a little while that I am completely and utterly in love with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the film that came out towards the end of last year. In particular, the character who was just near and dear to my heart and just made me happy on so many levels was the little Niffler. The Niffler who came and stole all of the jewels and was just so adorable, and I was obsessed with it. And therefore I really can't blame you guys for the people who did tag me in this particular post saying, oh my goodness, you need to get this yarn. Because I was introduced this week to a dyer who I have never purchased anything from previously. I didn't even follow them on Instagram until this last couple of weeks gone by, and that is Elm Tree Yarns. And Elm Tree Yarns has just put together a small collection of Fantastic Beasts inspired yarns, one of them being the Niffler colourway. And I tell you what, the second that I saw this colour, I was like, yeah, that's me done. I need to buy that, and it needs to come home with me. So surprisingly enough, surprise, when the shop update went live with the Fantastic Beasts colourway, I purchased a skein of Niffler. This is the Stellina base, so it's a superwash merino, nylon and Stellina blend, and it is the Niffler colourway, and it basically is a blend of kind of a black grey with a creamy yellow and white, and it is just gorgeous. I love it. It's so soft, it's so squishy, and I couldn't be happier to have this come and live with me and be a pair of socks which will totally be eligible for the Harry Potter cowl, because it does include Fantastic Beasts and where to find them as well. So Niffler yarn. The only problem is when you go onto someone's website and they have Fantastic Beasts inspired colourways, and they have quite a few of them, it's very easy to get drawn in and like other ones than the one that you thought that you were going to get. I literally was just going to buy the Niffler colourway. That was the only thing that I had planned to buy. And then I saw this and my heart skipped a beat, because oh my goodness, this yarn is beautiful. Other than the Niffler, my favourite character of Fantastic Beasts is definitely Newt Scamander, as played by Eddie Redmayne. I loved his character, I loved his style, I loved his outfit, I love the fact that he is a Hufflepuff. Hufflepuff, power to the Hufflepuffs, Hufflepuffs and proud. I am a Hufflepuff, in case you're wondering. And Elm Tree Yarns also had a Newt colourway, and so that had to come and live with me as well. So this is the Newt colourway and it's just perfect. It's perfect. It has the colour of his coat, this kind of tealy colour. It also has the gold in it that's kind of his waistcoat and his Hufflepuff scarf, and oh, it's my precious, precious friend now, and these two are just making me so happy. So happy. I can't even tell you. When these arrived in the post, Emma saw them, thought they were lovely and said, "Are the yarns coming on holiday with us?" That is how well my husband knows me. He knew that these would not be able to stay in the stash for very long. However, I already had my other projects all kind of good to go and ready to go on holiday with us. So these will not be coming to New York, but my goodness was I tempted, because I want to cast them both on right this second. I just know that when I do cast them on, it's going to be even better for having a little bit of a wait, but do check out Elm Tree Yarns. I know that all of the Fantastic Beasts colourways were incredibly popular. There are about 3 other colourways, I think, in that particular collection. But if you follow her on Instagram, I'll put the links down below for her Instagram and everything. I'm sure that you'll be able to be kept up to date as when there will be more shop updates if you're interested in grabbing your own skeins of Fantastic Beasts inspired yarn. And yeah, bit of yarn enabling for you there. I'm sorry if I've totally enabled you and you're on a January yarn diet, because I am so not at this point. But there you go. The yarn fumes. I'm high on the yarn fumes right now, can you tell? I have one more segment of the podcast left for you this week, and it is, of course, General Waffle. General Waffle. And it's a very short and sweet General Waffle this week, all about New York. So Emrys and I are heading off to New York tomorrow, and we are going to be in New York for the entirety of that week, from Monday to Monday. And the weekend that falls in that week is the weekend of Vogue Knitting Live. We are super excited. This is the first time that we have been on a holiday alone together since our honeymoon, and our honeymoon was over 2 years ago, so it does feel like quite a long time since we actually kind of just got to spend a bit of time abroad, just the 2 of us, so we're very excited about it. I will be in Vogue Knitting Live on both Saturday and Sunday. I'm not entirely sure exactly what time I'm going to be there. I'm going to just be in the marketplace. I didn't want to take any classes. I'm just not the classes kind of person. I think that they're amazing, but I am more going to Vogue Knitting Live to soak up the atmosphere, to make some purchases, and to meet up with people that I would probably never get the opportunity to meet unless I was in New York. So I'm very, very excited. In terms of what exact times I'll be around, I would say keep an eye on my Instagram, follow me at Miss Lavelli, and I will kind of post on the day as to when I'm around and what type of things that I'm doing. There are not going to be any podcaster meetups this year, as there were last year, but I am saying, as is everybody else who's going to be at Vogue Knitting Live, do please feel free to come up and say hello to me. The one thing that I would say, please don't be at all surprised if I come across as considerably more nervous and quiet than I do on the podcast. I am not the most out there person in real life unless I know people very well. And obviously when I'm podcasting, I feel like I'm just talking to my best friend and we're in the room together, but meeting a lot of people en masse can be a little bit intimidating. So please, please don't think that it's anything to do with you if I come across as a little bit quieter, because I'm genuinely feeling a little overwhelmed already about going to Vogue Knitting Live, and I'm so excited to meet all of you. And it's gonna be crazy and I can't wait. But please, please, please do come up and say hello to me. Give me a hug. Let's talk about yarn. Show me what you bought. Point me in the direction of the Harry Potter yarn if you've seen any. But yeah, the one thing that I won't be doing is swag. I don't have any swag for the podcast, but do please feel free to come up, like I said, and say hi. And I'm so excited to meet all of you. If you see me in the centre in Vogue Knitting Live at the hotel, or if you see me kind of hanging around Times Square, because like I said, I'm going to be there for a week, do please, please, please just come up and say hi. And yeah, it's just so exciting. I can't wait to be there. I can't believe that when this episode goes live, I will already be in New York running around and enjoying myself. It's going to be amazing, even though it's going to be quite cold. And yeah, it's just blowing my mind. I will be doing a lot of vlogging whilst I'm in New York, but as I said last episode, I can't guarantee that I will be uploading those kind of daily whilst I'm in New York. I may only have the time to upload them when I get home, but whatever happens, you will be having a New York Diaries vlogging series in the very near future. So that is something to look forward to if you enjoyed Vlogtober and Vlogmas last year. So yeah guys, that's pretty much everything for this week. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me. If you've enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you're new here, do please hit the subscribe button to be kept up to date as to when I'm uploading new content on the channel. I will not be having a podcast episode next week, as I said, because I will still be on holiday, but the week after that I will be back with huge amounts of fun things to share with you, hopefully a large amount of stash enhancement that I will have acquired during my trip, and a general sense of joy about having such an amazing time. I hope I'm having an amazing time in New York right now, eating bagels, drinking coffee and walking around Central Park, because that's totally what I want to be doing right now. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an incredible couple of weeks until I see you next. Happy sewing, happy knitting. I love you all, and I'll see you soon. Bye! I'm not sure if I've packed enough hand knit socks.